What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Who Gives a Dram, and Happy New Year. It's 2023. We took a week off at the beginning of January simply because I had a lot of stuff to do, but we're back this week. We're going to review a fantastic whiskey that I was super lucky to pick up right before Christmas, and that whiskey is going to be Stagg, no Junior, Stagg Batch 18, the 2022 release of Stagg. Gonna be reviewing it here at Who Gives a Dram Studios. And we're just gonna be, having a good time and kicking in the new year correctly and talking about the things that I'm most excited for in 2023. It still is very unusual for me to say 2023. I'm not used to saying 2023 yet. I'm still very much accustomed to saying 2022. But before we get into the episode, you guys, take care of a little bit of business. If you haven't subscribed to the channel here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Click the notifications. Like the video, comment on the video. Let me know what whiskeys you want to see me review and what topics I should talk about. Also, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, make sure you subscribe to the show. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, do me a huge favor. Leave a rating and review down at the bottom or wherever you leave ratings and reviews. That kicks us up in the algorithm, and it helps Who Gives a Dram become more searchable to those that are looking for a new whiskey podcast or a new MMA podcast or movie podcast or someone who is obsessed with whiskey, movies, and MMA. Just like I am. So do me a favor, leave a rating and review. That would help me out a lot. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter are all at Who Gives a Dram. And if you click the link in my bio on Instagram, you will find a link where you can buy some merch. And that's pretty cool because it has the Who Gives a Dram logo on it. And that's it. So, it's been a interesting start to the year, nonetheless. And I gotta tell you guys, I didn't believe it for the most part, but seasonal depression is real, man. Throughout all the podcasts from September to the end of the year, I was always talking about how that was my favorite time of the year. I love spooky season. That goes right into Holly Jolly season, and my birthday's in there, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It's all part of my favorite time of the year. And, I just felt like it went by kind of quick this year. It wasn't the best time of year, had just some unfortunate things happen in life. That kind of put a gloom on the end of the year. And I think now that it's all over, it affected me more than it usually does. I feel like it just happened so quick this year. I feel like, we didn't get, I feel like I just didn't get enough time to actually sit back and enjoy, this past 4 months. And in reality, I did. I mean, did so many things, went to Scotland, went to Fenway Park, recorded a bunch of podcasts, talked to a bunch of people, and I'm in New England, so fall and winter is the best in this time of year. Well, fall is best in New England, and then I love, this time of year, or Christmas time where I live as well, so, it's always a bummer. The first and second weeks of January always suck. Let's be honest. The first and second weeks of January are the worst. By far, they're the worst. Probably the worst weeks of the year, besides maybe the dog days of August. And February's short, so you can't really loop that in with everything else. But seasonal depression is real, man. I'm feeling it. I felt it last week. Last week was a tough week, and I hope this week's better. This week will be better. I'm recording this Sunday, January 8th. You will hear this Monday, January 9th. And, Monday, January 9th. That might be Madison's birthday. That might be my cousin Maddie's birthday. I know it's sometime in January. Maddie, if it's your birthday, happy birthday today. To my little cousin Madison. We got to get drunk this weekend. Maddie. But yeah, so we have a lot of things to talk about this week on the podcast since we took last week off. And back in the day, I was really keen on not missing a week. Almost all of 2022, I did my best to not miss a week for you guys, and I'm still doing my best to put out the most consistent content possible. But last week, I just felt like I just couldn't record, man. I just had a weird mental thing going on, and we did some Bourbon with Friends episodes, which I love doing regardless, but I just had a weird mental thing and had a busy week, getting back into the groove of things at work as well. And I apologize for I should have given a heads up on Instagram or something saying I'm not recording this week, but here this week and moving forward, we have a lot of new whiskey to review, a lot of cool people to come on the podcast, and looking ahead to 2023, I really want to continue to expand into areas of which I have not really discussed in depth prior, mainly the two other subjects that I love and talk about on this podcast other than whiskey, and that is MMA/UFC/boxing kind of, and movies, TV, film, etc. So one of my goals for this year is to maybe expand into that realm a little bit more and continue to review whiskey. Obviously, that's what I do here, but also because this is longer format on a podcast, just have that movie and film segment, have that MMA segment, and I think that's easy enough to do, and that's something that I want to do. So I'm going to do my best to make that as coherent and precise as possible. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I think this week what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about the movies and TV shows I'm excited for in 2023. I'm going to talk about maybe a few fights that I want to see in the UFC in 2023 and some in boxing as well. And then we'll review this whiskey, man. So just to let you guys know, you'll see me pour the whiskey and stuff whenever you want to. If you want to just fast forward to the whiskey review. If you're listening on a podcast platform, tough luck. You got to listen to the whole thing. But yeah, man, and I'm really excited for 2023 this year as well because me and Paul are doing a lot of things over at Bourbon with Friends. We have our With Friends media group that we're starting, and we're implementing 2 podcasts to begin the new year. We're implementing Drinks with Friends, and we're implementing Outlander with Friends, and those are going to be 2 great podcasts that are going to be completely operated by our close friends and people that we trust. So Outlander with Friends is going to be with 3 of our very, very close friends that are Outlander fans as well. And Drinks with Friends is going to be, again, 3 people that we're very close with. Kate, Sam, and Craig are going to head up Drinks with Friends. And, that along with Bourbon with Friends continuing to grow, along with Who Gives a Dram continuing to grow, and potentially a few other podcast ventures as we move into the new year are going to take up a lot more time than usual, and I am ready for the grind this year. It's going to be a grind. We have the Bourbon Ball coming up July 1st, which, again, we're already getting boots on the ground for that. We're trying to make that the best event we possibly can, and, really looking forward to just having that be a success and raising as much money as we can for, the families that need that need it, via Folds of Honor. So that's going to be a beast in itself, but that's going to be a very, very successful event again this year. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. And we have another tour of somewhere that we're going to be planning, whether it's Ireland, Scotland, who knows, man? Bourbon with Friends is a completely different beast, but I'm really excited for everything that we have going on in the whiskey world and everything that we have coming up with Friends Media and with Who Gives a Dram and Bourbon with Friends, and it's a lot of different moving parts. And I don't know if I'll ever master doing everything perfectly, but I do my best. And one of the things that holds me down is doing this podcast every week. So for all of you guys that are listening out there, I appreciate it. And let's move right in to what we'll call the movie/TV segment of the week, where I will talk about the movies and TV shows that I wanna watch this year that are coming out. And I have a small list. It doesn't encompass everything for the most part, but I'll make a few points on each. I will say one of my not a New Year resolution, but something that I want to do this year is watch a movie every week if I can. I want to try to watch a new movie every single week. Something that I haven't seen. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 2023 release, but if a new movie comes out within 2023 that I want to watch, I'm gonna do my damnness to watch it. And there is a new movie that I'll probably talk about next week that came out with Christian Bale on Netflix. I forgot what it's called, something Pale Blue Eye, something like that. I'm going to check it out this week, maybe even tonight after I'm done recording this, and I'll let you guys know how it is. But last week, I watched the movie Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. I posted about it on Instagram, and I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I didn't really like it. Now, I watched it, I believe, on Peacock Plus. It's free for streaming. That's the only reason I checked it out. And I'm a big fan of Jordan Peele's Us, his second movie. And I've actually never seen Get Out, so I'll watch Get Out at some point this year. But I really liked Us, and I'm a big fan of Key and Peele. I love Jordan Peele and Key and Peele. So I was excited to watch this movie, and it was a cool concept. And I won't spoil it necessarily. All I'll say is it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, and the motives just seemed very stupid, for lack of a better term. And also, the ending just really bothered me. And again, I won't really necessarily say why. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. But I know a lot of people who loved it, and it was one of their favorite movies in 2022. So take that with a grain of salt. I don't know if it just didn't tickle my fancy, if it just wasn't something that I liked, but it was a movie that is definitely not for everybody. It's definitely a Jordan Peele movie. Don't get me wrong; it's 100% a Jordan Peele movie. But it is what it is. I just didn't quite enjoy it. But let's get into the some of the movies that I'm looking forward to most in 2023. And first up, we'll get the Marvel movies out of the way, because even though I've been down on the MCU's Phase 4 recently, I wasn't a fan of it. We're starting Phase 5, and based on the trailers that have come out for the Phase 5 MCU movies so far, I'm hopeful for them. They look pretty good. So we'll start with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Ant-Man 3. I'm really excited to see Kang the Conqueror. Super excited to see Kang the Conqueror and see how he implements into the larger scheme of things, leading up to Avengers Secret War or Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret War, which will close out Phase 5, and the Multiverse Saga, as they're coining it. I love Paul Rudd. I think Ant-Man is a mid character, nothing to write home about, but Ant-Man 1 and 2 are solid films. Nothing I'd ever watch a second time, but solid films. And it's going to be cool to see how they navigate that. I have a little bit of a sore throat, so if I have to take sips of water more often than not, please forgive me. The MCU movie that we've gotten a trailer for that I'm much more excited to see is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 are two of my favorite MCU movies. I am part of the few that prefer Guardians of the Galaxy 2. When Yondu dies, it's such a heartbreaking scene. And I love James Gunn's directing style for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, him getting into the DCEU and seeing what's happening over there, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm not saying I think he's going to do great. I'm not saying I think he's going to do bad. I think it's an interesting choice, and I do trust James Gunn. I just hope that it's not all Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. I don't need a joking Batman. I just don't want that. That's what Christopher Nolan did fantastic, even though again, I'm part of the few that think The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises are a little bit overrated. I prefer Batman Begins over those two. But for the Guardians of the Galaxy and what they are, James Gunn is perfect. And the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 looks great. We'll see what happens with Rocket. Everyone's saying he's going to die. I don't know. I'm almost certain Drax is going to die because Batista has come out and said, he's done with Drax after this movie, and Batista is fantastic. Speaking of Batista, I still have to watch Glass Onion, A Knives Out story. So that's another movie I'll watch within the next few weeks and tell you guys what I think about that. So yeah, man, those are the two MCU movies that are coming out this year, and at least that we have trailers for. I'm sure there's more. I don't know if there are more. I think the Marvels are coming out or something. I don't know. Right now, the two that we have trailers for are the two that I'm most excited for. And that's what I want to watch. Those are the two that I want to watch. Coming up next, and one of my more anticipated movies of the year, something that really maybe my 2021 movie of the year. Just a film that blew me away was Dune. And Dune 2 is coming out this year with Timothée Chalamet. I think my girl Florence Pugh is going to be in it. Zendaya. James Brolin's coming back. Unfortunately, Oscar Isaac is dead from the first one, so he won't be coming back. I think Jason Momoa is coming back, but star-studded cast. Dune 1 was fantastic. Dune 2, I'm sure, is going to be just as good. Timothée Chalamet is going to be the next guy. He's going to be him. Him and Tom Holland are going to be him in Hollywood within the next 5 to 10 years. And I loved the score and the cinematography of Dune 1. And with Dune 2, with probably just as much money behind it, if not more, and with, I hope it's not going straight to HBO Max. I hope they give it a proper theatrical run, because that is one of the movies I will drive my ass up 45 minutes away to watch, sit down with a big old tub of popcorn and a root beer and watch it in IMAX, because it deserves to be viewed in IMAX. I wish I watched Dune 1 in the theaters, more specifically in an IMAX theater. So I'm very excited for Dune 2. A trailer that recently came out that I'm also very excited for, Oppenheimer, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring one of the best working actors alive, Cillian Murphy, along with Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, the guy from The Boys. Is Florence Pugh also in that? She might be. So many actors and actresses in that movie, and it's Christopher Nolan, and it's led by Cillian Murphy, and it's gonna be an award. It should be an award, an awards season. It should be popular with the critics, I should say. I would imagine it is. I know Christopher Nolan's last movie, Tenet, again, which I never saw because I heard it was boring, didn't do very well. I can't imagine a world where Oppenheimer doesn't do well in 2023. There's too much star power behind it. There's too much hype behind it. And I'm very serious when I say Cillian Murphy is one of the greatest working actors alive. Tommy Shelby is one of, if not the greatest written characters of all time, and Cillian Murphy portrays him perfectly. I say that, and I don't say that lightly. I really do mean that. Robert Downey Jr. has grown into, again, one of the most respected actors alive. I know he's known for Iron Man, but he should be known for Tropic Thunder, if we're being honest. Because he's he was a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. That's impressive. And everyone else that's in the movie. Matt Damon's not getting enough love. He's in that movie, and he's top 15 working, top 20 working. I mean, there's like at least 3 to 5 top 20 working actors and actresses in that film, and that's a big deal. That's a blockbuster. That's exactly what it is, a blockbuster. A movie where I'm not too sure when it's coming out, but it is coming out in 2023, and I think it's going to get a lot of love once the trailer comes out. I don't think many people are anticipating this because they just don't know about it. There hasn't been a lot of press. A movie called Killers of the Flower Moon. And I'll tell you the 3 people that are associated with Killers of the Flower Moon, and you tell me you're not excited for it. Directed by Martin Scorsese. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. That's all that needs to be said. Give me those 3 in a film and take my money. That's really what that means. Now, the premise of the movie, I know what it is. I can't think of it off the top of my head now, but it doesn't really matter what the premise of the movie is. Not only when you have DiCaprio behind it, and not only when you have De Niro behind it, but those 2 together and Scorsese at the helm, there's no chance it's a bad movie. I know people hate on the Irishman, Martin Scorsese's last movie in late 2019. I personally love it. I think it's a masterpiece. It's pretty long, but it's a Scorsese movie. So give me De Niro, give me DiCaprio, 2 of the top 5 working actors. Not only working right now, but of all time. 2 top 5 actors of all time. If you know, that's a very, very lucid list. That's not a definitive list by any means, but to me, De Niro and DiCaprio are 2 of the top 5 actors ever. And Scorsese is a top 5 director ever. So that's going to be a movie that I will see in the theaters. That's not superhero related, action related. It's just a movie. I haven't seen a movie like that in theaters since maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't know, but another trailer that came out recently, actually a few days ago, and I knew about it, but once I saw the trailer, I became hyped for it. Let me take a sip of water real quick. Hold on. A movie called Renfield. And what Renfield is a movie about Dracula. Renfield is Dracula's assistant. I just want to make sure I get this guy's name right. Nicholas Hoult plays Renfield. Renfield again is essentially Dracula's assistant. His lackey, for a better term, according to Wikipedia. I'll read the Wikipedia premise right now. It's like 2 sentences. Count Dracula's lackey, Renfield, finds a new lease on life in modern-day New Orleans when he falls in love with Rebecca Quincy, a traffic cop. So it's going to be a little bit of a comedy-ish. It's produced by Robert Kirkman, and it's actually an original idea by Robert Kirkman. It's going to be directed by Chris McKay, from a screenplay by Ryan Ridley. Again, Nicholas Hoult, who plays Young Beast in the X-Men, like the newer X-Men franchise, he's playing Renfield, and Count Dracula, which I didn't expect this, but looks like it's going to be a perfect casting, is going to be played by one of the greatest actors of all time, Nicolas Cage. And if you haven't watched the trailer to Renfield, do me a favor, either pause this podcast or wait till the end of this podcast and then go watch the Renfield trailer, because Nicolas Cage looks perfect as Dracula, and I am so happy because I love Nicolas Cage. I really do think Nicolas Cage is maybe the most underrated actor of all time. He's really good, and I don't care what anyone says. He's one of those actors where he's so over the top, where it's like you almost have to respect how over the top he is. And also In the Cage with Nick Cage on SNL is like a top 5 bit. So I'm very excited for that movie to come out. But my number one most anticipated movie of 2023. It's not particularly close. I'm a little bit biased because I do love this franchise. It's a family favorite in the Gilbert household, and I will be there opening night. I'll buy my tickets well in advance, and especially because we have Donnie Yen in the movie this year, that just makes me want to cream in my jeans. Is John Wick 4, starring Keanu Reeves as John Wick, obviously. Also starring Donnie Yen. Also starring Bill Skarsgård, the guy who plays Pennywise, and also starring what's his name? The guy who plays I gotta search this guy's name real quick. I'm sorry. Just gotta find the guy's name. Come on, he's not top billed. Lawrence Fishburne, the guy who plays what's his name in the Superman Man of Steel. Looks like we also got Asia Kate Dillon coming back, who plays the bald chick in John Wick 3. Ian McShane plays Winston. Classic, just absolute classic. Lance Reddick plays Sharon, the basically Winston's assistant, the black guy. One of my favorite characters. This is just going to be a fan. I mean, listen, John Wick has been one of the most surprising / successful / engaging modern action franchises in recent memory. You've had The Equalizer 1 and 2 with Denzel Washington. You've had some action movies and franchises come out that are original ideas, original IPs. But John Wick, I can't think of one that's been more successful than John Wick and just as good. They're just fantastic movies. The fight scenes are some of the best fight scenes you'll see in movies. You see it all the time. John Wick training in hand-to-hand combat. John Wick training in tactically with weapons, with knives and etc. And Donnie Yen, who plays Ip Man, for those of you who don't know, and Ip Man is the guy who trained Bruce Lee. Donnie Yen plays him in, Chinese Chinese movies or Japanese movies. I'm not sure what market they're in, but they're subtitled and they're fantastic. I'm pretty sure Mike Tyson was in Ip Man 3, but they again just over the top Wing Chun fight scenes. They're amazing. I love them. So seeing John Wick and Ip Man fight each other like in the middle of the movie, but then inevitably team up at the end of the movie is going to be something that my heart, my brain, and my crotch can't handle. It's going to be three things just being stimulated too much at one time, and I don't know what's going to happen in the theater. So, those are just some of the movies that I'm most looking forward to in 2023. There's several more that I didn't put on the list for time reasons, but we're gonna be focusing on movies a lot more this year, and I'm looking forward to breaking all these down when they come out. Maybe dedicating entire episodes to them, but that's gonna do it for movies this week. TV shows. Listen, TV shows were very strong in 2022. I said it in the last podcast, the 2022 recap. I posted a clip of it on Instagram and on TikTok, which always seems to get a lot of engagement, a lot of arguing in the comments. But there was pretty much a generalized consensus agreeing with me with my take on the best TV shows of 2022. 2023 is a little different. I'm not going to lie. I didn't find that many good shows coming out. I don't think The Boys Season 4 is coming out this year. I could be wrong. If it is, it's going to be at the top. It might be coming out later this year. I'm gonna Google it. I have a computer right in front of me. What am I doing? The Boys season 4. There's no official release date yet. This is gamesradar.com. Let me maximize this here. The Boys season 4 release date. There's no official release date for The Boys season 4 yet. The show was only recommissioned in June 2023, with the season 3 finale airing on July 8th. It's likely we could be waiting a little while for new episodes. If season 4 follows the same pattern as the release dates for seasons 1, 2, and 3, it could be released anywhere between July 23 and March 24. So this article was written 19 days ago, I think. So that's a very large gap. We'll see. I'd be willing to bet probably 2024 is when we'll see The Boys. But if it's coming out this year, then that automatically moves up to my number 1 most anticipated show of the year. Let me exit that out. But other than that, man, there's a lot of MCU shows which I'm not too pumped about, man. I'll name them out here. Agatha, Coven of Chaos season 1. Echo season 1. Ironheart season 1, Secret Invasion season 1, and Loki season 2. Now, I'll probably check all of them out. None of them are, they all pique my interest a little bit. Ironheart and Echo are on the line of like being around Miss Marvel, which I had no interest in, and I still haven't seen it. Nothing can be as bad as She-Hulk, I hope. What a piss poor way to just end the 2022 TV slots for Marvel. Man, that show was sucked. But Agatha, Coven of Chaos, I have a little bit of interest in. I did enjoy WandaVision, so I'll be interested to see that. Echoes or Ironheart season 1. Ironheart was okay in Black Panther. I'll check it out. After it sees episodes 1, maybe episode 2. If I'm not into it, I won't finish it, but I'm assuming there'll be like 45-minute episodes. Secret Invasion is kind of cool. I like the Skrulls. Samuel L. Jackson coming back. It's got a little star power. I feel like that one will probably connect to the wider universe more. So I'll check it out. Echo season 1, I have no interest in. The only reason I have interest in it is because Daredevil and Kingpin will both be in it, and that's the only reason I'll watch it. Loki season 2 is, probably what I'm most excited for. And I didn't love Loki season 1. I liked it. It had really good parts to it, but in some other parts it was kind of boring. But that will be fun to see Owen Wilson come back, and to see Tom Hiddleston come back and female Loki come back, and hopefully Kang shows up. That'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, I guess the two shows, the two shows that I'm most excited to see this year, Mandalorian season 3 coming out. That's probably the show that I want to see the most, or the second show that I want to see the most. The trailer looked amazing. We basically got 2 Mandalorian episodes in episodes like 5 and 6 of Boba Fett. So it hasn't been too long since we've seen Mando or Baby Yoda, but how much further can they go with it? I trust him, man. I trust Jon Favreau with The Mandalorian. I trust him with my life. He doesn't, everything he touches recently turns to gold. And The Mandalorian is one of the best, is some of the best, if not the best, Star Wars content coming out right now, and it's based on a Mandalorian. There's no Skywalkers, there's no anything. So it's going to be exciting to see where that comes from. And I know we ended season 2 of The Mandalorian with Luke Skywalker coming to take Baby Yoda. We saw that transpire in Boba Fett, with essentially Baby Yoda choosing to stay with Din Djarin or the Mandalorian instead of being trained by Luke. So, and we saw a little bit of Ahsoka in there as well. So I would imagine we probably don't see any Luke Skywalker in season 3. If we did, it'd probably be brief. I would imagine we probably see a little bit more Ahsoka, but regardless, um, we will see more Mandalorians, which is evident from the trailer. I think this is going to be kind of like a Mandalorian civil war in some aspect, season 3. And listen, again, I trust Jon Favreau. I trust him, and they'll do great. But honestly, the show that I'm most looking forward to in 2023, and this might come as a surprise, but the show that I'm looking most forward to in 2023 is Invincible Season 2. I loved Invincible Season 1. I loved Omni-Man, played by J.K. Simmons. I loved Invincible, the character, played by Stephen Yeun, who plays Glenn in The Walking Dead, who was also in the movie Nope. Didn't have enough screen time. I love him. Great actor. But the brutality of animation, they can show brutality so much better than live action, obviously, because it costs less. And it's easier to show planets being blown up on animation rather than in CGI or in a live action movie. So to see the power of Omni-Man and seeing like that quality of an animated show, I was enthralled with it. I'm gonna rewatch Invincible Season 1 before Season 2 comes out, and although I know what happens already, I love anytime Omni-Man's on. He's basically a jacked up Homelander, and you guys know how I feel about Homelander. I think he's one of, if not the best, TV villains of all time. Maybe even villains of all time. Definitely TV villains. I think last podcast I said he was one of the best villains, and I do stand by that. But I would more mean TV villains. Anyways, Omni-Man is basically Homelander. If Homelander's power level is here, Omni-Man is probably like 5 times. That's how they make it seem in the show. So Season 2 will be fantastic. And what's funny is between The Boys with Homelander and Invincible with Omni-Man, Seth Rogen is behind both of them. He's, I think, an EP on The Boys, and he's actually in Invincible. He plays the alien character. I don't know what his name is, but he might also be an EP on Invincible as well. So shout out Seth Rogen. What a beast. So yeah, that's going to do it for movie TV this week. That's going to be the segment. But I quickly want to get into, and I didn't even write this down to be completely honest with you guys, some of the MMA fights that I want to see happen this year. And I'll keep it short. I'll keep it brief. I want to see Conor McGregor come back, and I'm fairly confident he will. Against who? I don't know. I would say he will probably fight Michael Chandler at 170. That would be my guess. That's going to probably be the smartest matchup, but we'll see. I'm very excited for Volkanovski versus Islam. I think that's a fantastic fight. Take my money with that, and that's happening in the next few months. So that is something that I'm extremely looking forward to, and again, take my money with that. I really hope we see John Jones this year. I'm sure we will. I have a feeling we will. Against who? Stipe comes to mind. Cyril Gane comes to mind, and Francis Ngannou comes to mind. So, I mean, those three are the only ones that make sense. Everyone else in the heavyweight division is kind of fighting for the spot behind those three. So, I would be willing to bet we see John Jones versus Stipe. I don't think they throw him to Ngannou just yet. I think what they should do, because Stipe is the greatest heavyweight of all time, give Stipe a bag, give John Jones a bag, give them each some pay-per-view points. You know you're going to sell a few 100,000. It's going to be a success, and let them fight. Like Godzilla and King Kong, let them fight. I'm sure there's other fights I'm looking forward to. Off the top of my head, I want to see Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman 2. The greatest knockout of all time. I need to see the rematch. I don't know if it's going to happen. Rumor is Kamaru Usman has a hand problem, so maybe that doesn't happen in London, but it should happen in London. Otherwise, I'm really excited to see Leon Edwards fight. I don't know who it's going to be against, but that's gonna be a fight that intrigues me. And this new 17-year-old kid who just got a win a few weeks ago, youngest fighter in UFC history, getting a win in his debut. He's gonna be fun to watch this year, and I'll definitely keep an eye on him. But yeah, that's off the top of my head. Those are the UFC fights that I'm most looking forward to. And to be 100% honest, I haven't been keeping track of Bellator. Bellator kind of lost my interest. There's great fighters over in Bellator, and whenever there's a card on, I try to watch a little bit of it, but I'm sure there's going to be good Bellator fights this year, and I'm sure we'll break down a few Bellator fights, but there's just not a whole lot going on over there. We'll see what happens in 2023 with this celebrity boxing stuff. We'll see what happens with Jake Paul. I mean, it's very interesting that he just got signed by the PFL for a 2-fight deal or whatever it is, and basically offered Nate Diaz, box me, and then I'll fight you in MMA, which, the kid knows how to make headlines, man. Good for him. My predictions for that is Jake Paul absolutely annihilates Nate Diaz in a boxing match. Kills him in a boxing match. But then Nate Diaz absolutely annihilates him in an MMA match. But honestly, take my money with that. I'd watch it. To be 100% honest, I'd watch it, man. I'd watch Jake Paul. I'm a Jake Paul guy. He does a good job, man. He knocked down Anderson Silva. How can you not respect that? He knocked down Anderson Silva. I don't care if he's 47. I don't care if he's not a boxer. Anderson Silva is a boxer. He's boxed professionally. I don't care if he's 47. He's one of, if not the GOATs. And yes, MMA striking and boxing striking are different beasts entirely, but it's still Anderson Silva. And Jake Paul has what, like 4 fights? 5 fights? Anderson Silva has quadruple that, probably more. So, we'll see. Tyson Fury should be fighting Alexander Usyk. I really want to see Joshua versus Wilder. They won't make it, but I think we're getting Wilder versus Andy Ruiz, which is a very interesting fight in itself. We'll see how that shapes up. Boxing is very fluid. Gervonta Davis, who just got a win this past weekend, fighting Ryan Garcia. Gervonta Davis fighting Ryan Garcia is going to be an interesting fight that I'll definitely watch. Both. Talk about good young boxers. Those are good young. Jake Paul is solid. And my cousin Seth brought up a good point this past weekend. He said, Jake Paul is a very good amateur boxer. And he's right. Professional is yet to be seen. But Jake Paul is a very good amateur boxer. And I think that's fair to put him in. Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis, I mean, those are 2 of the best young boxers in the game. So those are that's a fight I'll definitely be looking forward to as well. It's always a good year of fights. I mean, let's be real. UFC always has great events. I can't wait to see Izzy come back and see what he does. I can't imagine they don't give him the rematch versus Pereira. But to see him come back from a loss, a TKO loss, looking back on the footage, I think it was a little bit of an early stoppage, but that's neither here nor there. All right, we're 45 minutes in. Just about 45 minutes in. I'll have to write down. Go. But let's get into this whiskey review, you guys. Let's get into this Stagg Batch 18. And notice how I say Stagg, not Stagg Jr., because if you look at the bottle here, we're looking at Stagg, just Stagg. This is the first year without the junior. So we'll get into the bottle. Let's cork pop this bad boy. Hell yeah. Pour a little bit in the Who Gives A Dram Glencairn. Not a great pour, but, it is what it is. Shout out to Kale for getting me these Who Gives A Dram Glencairns for Christmas. Great gift. Like I said, this is the first year of Stagg without the junior. Buffalo Trace releases two different barrel proof. Uh, um, well, they release a few. Within their mash bill one, they release a few different barrel proofs because they do release Colonel Taylor in a barrel proof. But this is what it's known for. It's Stagg Junior, or now Stagg, and then George T. So this is the little one. George T is the big one. I have a bottle of George T right there. I should have grabbed it, but I won't. But anyways, this is the first year without the junior, so I'm sure this bottle is gonna get, crazy markups on the secondary. So be careful. This There's no age statement, but it's said to be between 7 and 9 years old, meaning a blend of 7 to 9-year-old bourbon. It is mash bill 1 from Buffalo Trace, which is a low rye mash bill. Some of the other bourbons that are included in that mash bill include Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, George T. Stagg, every single variant of Colonel E.H. Taylor, and the holy grail of Buffalo Trace Distillery, Benchmark. This MSRP's anywheres between, I put down $50 to $65. I bought this for, I think, $50. Shout out to Ron at Wyoming Package. And on the secondary, this is going to go anywhere between $200 to $350. So I can tell you right now, this is not worth the secondary price, unless $350 to you is what $50 is to me. And if that's the case, God bless you, and slide into my DMs so you can be my sugar daddy / my sugar mama. I've had Stagg before. We did around this time last year, we did Stagg batch 17, which was the last batch of Stagg Junior, and it was one of my favorites. I mean, I love this barrel proof pour. I get a lot of dark fruit notes with a lot of wood influence in there, with that subtle hint of sweetness. A lot of wood spice. Again, this is low rye, so it's not like cinnamon or baking spice or anything in your face like that. It's almost like an aged wood or a dry wood almost that comes out on this. That gives it its more spicy palate, so to say. And Stagg is, and has always been and always will be, one of the more sought after bourbons that Buffalo Trace produces. Buffalo Trace continues to expand their operations down in, where are they? Frankfort, Kentucky. I mean, they're always in headlines for expanding their warehousing, putting in tens of millions of dollars in warehousing, or in putting in new stills, or putting in the ability to make more bourbon. Because it's the most award-winning distillery for a reason, because although people like to hate on it and to say, oh, you shouldn't be drinking this stuff, there's so much more better stuff out there that's more attainable and that's lower priced. While that is true, this Buffalo Trace stuff is still very good. So if you see this Stagg Junior without even tasting it today so far, for $50 to $65, I will recommend right now you pick it up, because you don't know when you're going to see it for that again. So like I mentioned, I think I cracked this open Christmas Eve with my brother, and I remember really liking it. I didn't write down any tasting notes. I just wanted to have a good pour on Christmas Eve before Santa came and gave me this beautiful Rode pod mic and this beautiful Rodecaster Pro 2 that I'm recording this podcast on. So, without further ado, let's give this thing, it's had a few weeks to open up, obviously, so I'm hoping that we can get some solid notes here. I haven't even really watched any reviews about this either. I haven't really researched it. We're just going to go in dry and see what happens. All right, so right off the bat, when I'm sniffing it, I didn't put a lot of whiskey in there, but I don't need a lot of whiskey. Right off the bat, it's a bit lighter, a bit almost floral on the nose. There's that essence of like a of a of a like a dry wood or a dry wood chip in there, if that makes sense. Lots of robust dark cherry, almost like grape, like plum. It's a bit brighter than like a Midwinter Night's Dram, which has a lot of like dark plum and dark cherry. This is almost like a grapey-ish type of like lighter fruit, but not as light as like an apple or an orange or a citrus. It's like right in the middle there. It's mid. Let me give it a swirly poo here. It's actually taking a minute to open up. It's very robust. There's a lot happening on the nose, but what I'm getting mainly is a strong essence of wood, mixed with that kind of like dark grape. It reminds me of like a dark, like the dark or the grape, like the like grape juice almost in a way, like almost of like natural grape juice. Like I know some like juicy juice and stuff is like there's a bunch of sugar in there. This doesn't smell that sweet. There's a little bit of like a butterscotch on there on the back end, but very very toned down from past batches. I feel like batch 17 was much more pronounced in what a barrel proof usually is. This is very toned down, but the notes are still there on the nose. I mean, you're still getting that oak and that wood over everything, which is what I usually get from Stagg, along with that dark fruit, like that dark cherry / dark grape vibe, which again I get from Stagg a lot. And an undertone of that vanilla / butterscotch, mainly butterscotch sweetness again, which is kind of what I usually get with Stagg. So as it was kind of shaking in my hand as I was emoting, as I was talking with my hands right there, I do get more of a lighter fruit too. Like I just got a little bit of like a almost like a apple-ish type of note as I was talking. But yeah, this is gonna be good. I can already tell. So let's drink. So to another week. You guys, thank you for joining us. Let's get right to this. Why don't we? This is clocking in at 65.5% alcohol by volume, by the way, which is 131 proof. So just for those of you keeping track at home. Big, long finish. Already salivating because it's hot. But it's not like high proof hot. It's like just like flavorful almost. Like it's still going down. This is my first it's not my first sip of whiskey. I had a little bit of whiskey at my cousin's house a little earlier. Oh, and I will say, I told my Aunt Jeannie I'd give her a shout out. Shout out Aunt Jeannie. So I love you, Aunt Jeannie. I told you I'd give you a shout out on the podcast today, and I did not forget. 53 minutes in. Lots of that grape and dark cherry on the palate coming through. The finish is long as shit. Holy shit. God damn. That's an intense finish right there. Let me try this again. Oak coming out. When I give it the swishy poo in my mouth, oak coming out tremendously. Lots of grape, lots of dark cherry on the mid palate. Almost like a dark, like a cherry medicine almost. A medicinal aspect to there. And then on the back is wood. Man, this would be good if you're sick. Which I don't think I'm sick, but I'm definitely like my throat. I can feel it in my throat when I talk right now. Like I've been talking for 54 minutes and my throat shouldn't be sore, but it is. So take that as you may. But maybe this is an appropriate pour for tonight, even after this podcast. That's essentially what I'm getting here. I'm getting a robust, deep, dark cherry and dark grape on the front of the palate, which translates to the mid palate. In the back is straight just wood, dry wood, oak, wood chips, that type of thing. There it is bourbon, so there is a underlying value of butterscotch there. But there's not a lot of sweetness on this, man. There's not a lot. This is a lot of like dark cherry and dark grape. That's what this pour is. Yeah, that's intense. This is really good. Which honestly doesn't surprise me. I'd be willing to bet that this opens up and really expands the sweetness value with a few drops of water in it. I'm not gonna put water in it, but I'd be willing to bet it almost tastes like the vanilla and the butterscotch is just waiting to come out. It's just being held back by how much dark fruit and wood is in here. But a little bit of water should open the floodgates for that more sweet value. This is a very high proof. I mean, it's 131 proof. If this was proof down to 120, 115, I can't imagine how sweet it would be. It just tastes like the sweetness is being held back by that overarching dark grape and dark cherry and dry wood and oak note that tastes very good, but is by far the dominant note in this pour. But yeah, this is a fantastic barrel proof, man. This is gonna be at very least a 9. I could. It's tough to drink a barrel proof every day, but if you're talking about daily drinkers, barrel proofs that you could drink every day, Stagg is up there. This batch 18 is heavy on the dark fruit, heavy on the dark grape and dark cherry, and heavy on the oak. But it still is rounded off by all of those really nice, kind of lighter vanilla butterscotch notes as well. It's almost put a bow on it type of thing. I'm gonna give this a 9.1. This is fantastic, man. This is a fantastic pour. Stagg does it again. Buffalo Trace does it again. The 2022 Stagg Batch 18, no junior, 9.1. Great pour. Would recommend it. I think, as someone who loves whiskey, I appreciate a good barrel proof pour, but there are a lot of bad barrel proof pours out there. This is not one of them. Pick this up if you can find it at MSRP. I feel like every single one of you listening would do that regardless. Is this worth $250? Absolutely not. But it is worth what it is fairly priced. I'd probably pay, if I saw this for $100, I'd probably pay for it. So that's going to do it, you guys. We're about an hour in. We talked some movies, we talked some TV, we talked a few fights, and we drank some Stagg. That's a pretty good night if you ask me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really do. I hope you guys had a happy and safe new year. And as we get into 2023, I want you guys to reach out to me, especially if you're still listening to the podcast at this point, right at the end. If you're one of the people that reach out, that listen to the podcast until the end, just reach out to me. Let me know what you want to hear on the show. I mean, let me know topics that you have. Let me know questions that you have. I would like to be more involved with you, the listener, in 2023. Reach out with questions. DM me on Instagram. Who Gives a Dram? Go to whogivеsadram@gmail.com. Email me questions. You can hit me up on TikTok. You can hit me up on Facebook. Hit me up anywhere. Let's get in contact with each other and let's start talking. And if you have any specific topics or anything that you'd like me to discuss specifically, I will 100% do that. I will 100% talk about what you guys want to hear, because it's you guys, the listener, that keeps the show going. I say all the time I would do this podcast if 2 people listened, but I'm lucky enough to not have that, and I have a large contingent of you that are listening to me on a daily or on a weekly basis. So I would like to talk about the topics that you guys want to hear me talk about. So until next week, you guys, I really appreciate you listening. I really appreciate you watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and comment on the videos. If you're listening to my voice and not looking at my face, if you're listening, subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. That would greatly help the algorithm and help us be noticed by more people, again, who like whiskey, who like MMA, and who like movies and TV. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there because there's three big topics, but we're morphing them all into one. Make sure you give me a follow on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at Who Gives A Dram. So until next week, you guys, thank you very much. And always remember, whiskey's the water of life, so let's start living.